of the USHRA Association 1990 season that went on to win the World Championship. Gravedigger, Dennis Anderson's mean green machine that may be on its way to unseating the kings of the sport. For the first time, the world champ takes on the Digger. Stand by. ESPN, the world leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speedworld.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kris Chapman at the State Fair Arena in Oklahoma City. You're going to have ringside seats as America's top mud racers get down and dirty for a chance at all the cash and glory that comes with winning a U.S. Hot Rod Championship.
Bigfoot, Barefoot, Gravedigger, First Blood. Every single big name in the world of monster truck racing is here at the Centrum in Worcester, Massachusetts. Hi, everybody. I'm Bret Kepner, and get ready. This could be the ultimate showdown in the world of monster truck racing. Welcome to the 1991 Monster Truck Challenge Series. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Worcester, Massachusetts, and the arena known as the Centrum. We are getting ready for qualifying in this 8-truck monster truck field that could produce one of the greatest single short track events in this 1991 USHRA Association season. First up in the far lane, Ken Deppy and the Whiskey Business Chevrolet out of the Green Boys Racing Stables in Missouri. On the other side of the racetrack, though, closest to the camera, the Outlaw Ford. He'll start things off in qualifying. A rough ride to start things out. The elapsed time, 2.47 seconds for the Outlaw Ford. And that'll be a number to shoot at for the Chevrolet that is waiting patiently in the far lane. Green staged up, waiting for the green light. Carries the front wheels and keeps her low to the ground as expected, knocking down a finish line pole, but it won't affect his 2.75 second elapsed time. That means with the first pair of machines completing their qualifying efforts, Ford leads the way with Chevrolet picking up the rear. Out of Granite City, Illinois, it's Jack Willman Jr. and the Awesome Taurus. But take a look in the far lane. In his first ever New England appearance on the Camel Championship Trail, it's the one and only Gravedigger. But right now, it's Taurus leaving the line. And surprisingly, Willman keeps it low to the ground. The elapsed time for the purple Chevrolet, 2.41 seconds. And that'll give him the #1 qualifying spot for the Chevrolet fans. Willman, a rather conservative approach. He's usually one to put these things sky high, but here's a guy that'll head for the moon. Dennis Anderson, the North Carolina killer in the 1950 Chevrolet, known as Gravedigger. The elapsed time for the green Chevrolet, 2.53 seconds, and that will end up placing him in the program in the #3 qualifying spot. But on the starting line next, it's another Ford and Chevy pair. In the near lane, it'll be Rob Fuchs in the incredible First Blood Ford. Lines up alongside John Breen's Micro Machine Chevrolet. Unbelievable airborne leap. That's the other way to cover this course, and look at the time. 2.32 seconds will take the pole for the First Blood Ford, and the Ford fans are loving it. John Breen now knows what he has to better to take the pole over the Micro Machine Chevrolet. And Breen goes the airborne route, but actually slammed the nose down hard. That may hurt him. The mark to beat, 2.32 seconds. Breen in the Chevrolet records an elapsed time of 2.26 seconds. The Bigfoot Ford in the right-hand lane lines up alongside the defending Camel USHRA Association World Champ, Fred Schaefer, and the Barefoot Chevrolet, sponsored by Tonka Toys. Schaefer certainly would like nothing more than to take the lead back again. John Breen putting down a 2.26 in this qualifying round. An incredible leap by by Schaefer on the nose in the shutdown, 2:13. And the world champ comes back to take the pole again. Now it's up to Jim Kramer and the Bigfoot Ford to take it back from the Chevrolet. And everybody knows about the incredible rivalry between the Bigfoot Ford and Fred Schaefer's Chevy. An awesome run on the nose for Kramer. Look at the numbers. Bigfoot on the final qualifying run comes back to lead the field at 2.09 seconds. What a war this will now present in eliminations, with Kramer leading the field and Fred Schaefer number 2 right behind him. We're back at the Centrum in Worcester, Massachusetts, and qualifying is complete. It's now time to start side-by-side monster truck elimination action. The very first pair up brings the number 1 versus number 5 qualifiers to the line, with Jim Kramer and the world-renowned Bigfoot Ford taking on the Chevrolet that finished number 2 in the world last year, Jack Wilbin's awesome Taurus. These were two of the machines that waged war in that incredible qualifying round, with Bigfoot coming out on top at 2.09 seconds. Both machines staged up. The whole shot goes to Taurus, but something goes wrong for the purple Chevrolet. And Jim Kramer, with a less than perfect run for Bigfoot itself, makes it into the semi-final round. You can see a rather strange landing for Kramer as the big blue Ford got a little sideways down near the finish line. But the big problem came from the purple Chevrolet right off the starting line. Something goes away in the drivetrain, most likely something in the transmission. And Jack Wilbin and Taurus are history. The truck that has become easily one of the most popular in the history of this form of motorsports. In the near lane, a crowd favorite, surprisingly in the underdog position. Although he only qualified number 7, Dennis Anderson and the Gravedigger 1950 Chevrolet has the crowd behind him wherever he runs. John Breed, in the meantime, driving the Breen Brothers flagship, the Micro Machines Chevrolet, qualified number 3 in this field at 2:26. Anderson has got to surprise Breed on the starting line to make this stick. The whole shot goes to Gravedigger, and by nearly a full truck length advantage, Anderson comes from the number 7 qualifying spot to gain a semi-final round berth. The crowd can't believe it, but certainly neither can this man. John Breen looks so strong in qualifying and now gets upset in the opening round of competition. Ken Deppy in the Whiskey Business Chevrolet now pulls out the number 8 qualifier in this 8-truck field. He will take on the youngster who has dominated U.S. Hobbit Association monster truck action so far this year, Rob Fusion, the home-built, unsponsored First Blood Ford. Deppy, despite his newcomer status, has proven at previous U.S. Hobbit Association events that his ability to leave the starting line on time is right there with the best drivers in this form of motorsports. And now both trucks are ready for the green light start. Shot goes to Deppy, but the Whiskey Business Chevrolet loses power very quickly, and Rob Hughes uses the brute horsepower of the First Blood Ford to move into the semi-final round. That will leave us with one final pair in this first round of competition, and it will feature the reigning U.S. Hobbit Association Camel Monster Truck World Champion, Fred Schaefer's incredible barefoot Chevrolet from Granite City, Illinois, lining up alongside Mike Wine and the Jersey Outlaw. The big blue Chevrolet that could well be the most feared monster truck in the sport today. But one thing's for sure, anybody that lines up alongside Fred Schaefer has to remember that they are facing what is easily the most powerful monster truck ever built. Now, finally, the Ford is on the starting line. And Schaefer handles the New Jersey Ford Pilot easily, annihilating the Outlaw machine. Even though it appeared that Mike Wine had a slight starting line hole shot, one would have to figure with the advantage that Fred Schaefer had, he was possibly waiting to allow his opponent to leave first keeping from redlighting and throwing away what appeared to be a sure victory. So Fred Schaefer goes into the semifinal round, but the fans know that they have some of the greatest matches yet coming up in round number 2. How about Bigfoot versus Gravedigger? We go to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma for super modified mud racing. We're just about to begin the qualifying session for the quick 4 drivers who will do battle in the camel shootout. Remember, this is an 80-foot-long pit of 36-inch deep mud. Rick Brickeye and the just passing through supercharged Chevy-powered Jeep CJ Funny Car leaves the line and will put down the first run of the event. He'll stop it in time in the sandy shutdown area, and apparently he has broken something. He is motioning to the ground crew to pull him off the course. From the state of Iowa, last year's top 10 finisher, this is Byron Tinky and the Bad Habit supercharged 1932 Chevrolet Coupe. Tinky picked up 2 national event wins during the 1990 season and has looked even stronger in 1991. Tinky hard on the brakes. He'll stop it with about 15 feet to spare. The elapsed time for the Bad Habit machine, a great pass. 1.85 seconds, 185.7, and that will bring up the recent winner of the New Orleans Triple Crown of Motorsports. Larry D'Antoni in the Addicted to Mud entry picked up his first U.S. Hobbit Association win of the year with this supercharged Chop Top 1932 Chevy. A good run for D'Antoni. On the brakes, he'll stop with more than enough room in the 80 feet allotted distance. The elapsed time, good enough for number 2. Melvin Brown in the rear-engine Red Heat Dragster from Ohio next up. One of 2 different machines that Melvin Brown campaigns at every single U.S. Hobbit Association events. Bounce it all over. The elapsed time for the Red Heat machine, 1.95 seconds. That'll put him number 2, but here is the world elapsed time record holder, the 1.6-second Insanity Roadster of Milwaukee, Wisconsin's Jeff Acker, 2,000 Chevrolet horsepower. Acker on the brakes, the Insanity machine, 1.94 seconds will put him number 2. Here's Ohio's Chad Miller and the always outrageous supercharged street roaster called Instant T. Miller hard on the brakes. He'll stop it with about 10 feet to spare, but you can see a little bit of tire spin on the starting line. The elapsed time, 2.02 seconds. Just about any hardcore fan knows this machine. Milwaukee, Wisconsin's Jim Weber in the supercharged, fuel-injected, methanol-burning, Chevy-powered, American-made entry. Weber, one of the masters at putting the power to the ground where it's needed most. A great run on the brakes hard. He'll spin it to try and pick up some extra room. The elapsed time for Jim Weber, 1.83 seconds. Number 1 qualifier in the quickest run of the event so far. But meanwhile, back on the starting line with the kill switch now connected that will shut the engine down at the finish line, Oklahoma's own Larry Jarrett and the Locomotion supercharged Chevy machine. Wheels up for Jarrett, now on the brakes. He'll stop it safely. The elapsed time for the Perry, Oklahoma veteran, 1.91 seconds. The next man up will be one of the toughest in the division. Kansas City, Kansas campaigner Ken Crum. The Valvoline-sponsored supercharged Chevrolet rear-engine dragster. A great run. He bounces all over the place in the shutdown area. He took a hit down there. That's the bad news. The good news is that he ran 189 and qualifies for the quick 4. This is Jack Sturkin out of Holland, Michigan. The Ground Zero altered wheelbase Chevy S10 with supercharged small block power. Bouncing all over, the top end is getting violently rough. And the crowd can appreciate that from a small block Chevy powered entry. Still, it's amazing how close this field is. But here's a man who wants to split it wide open. The 3-time and defending super modified U.S. Hobbit Association world champ, Indiana's Tom Martin in the brand new Super Trooper 1932 Chevrolet. Martin really takes a ride down to the shutdown. These guys are getting beaten to death down there. Martin, for only the second time this year, will fail to qualify for a Camel Shootout. What an upset. But here's the machine that Martin took to 3 consecutive World Championships, the Mud Patrol 32 Chevy, with the new driver, Paul Schaefer, behind the wheel this year. The flashing lights on top of the machine telling the ground crew that he will be using nitrous oxide injection on this run. Carrying the left front wheel, a straight arrow run. He'll stop it in time. On the line, Detroit, Michigan's Tony Ferrotti, the outrageous Let's Boogie winged 1927 Ford Model T Roadster. On the brakes hard, a wild flight through the shutdown area. He misses the field by 0.02 of a second. I'll tell you what, the top 4 separated by less than 0.08 of a second. When we come back with the Camel Shootout for those 4 quickest qualifiers. Here at the Centrum in Worcester, Massachusetts, the crowd is literally on the edge of their seats for what could be the greatest single round of racing we've seen this year. You're looking at the only truck in the semifinal round that did not qualify in the top 4. The incredible gravedigger of Dennis Anderson used a whole shot and a whole bunch of power to advance into the semifinals over the number 3 qualifier, the Micro Machine Chevy, only to earn the right to take on the number 1 qualifier, the Bigfoot Ford. Listen to the crowd. Obviously, this one is split 50-50 between the Ford and Chevrolet fans. The 2 single most popular monster trucks ever created are on the starting line. The number 1 qualifier in the far lane, Anderson, using both driving ability and a load of horsepower to advance just this far after qualifying in the bottom half of the field. They are staged and ready. RPM's up. An incredible hole shot for the gravedigger, and Dennis Anderson blows the number 1 qualifier in the weeds. The crowd cannot believe it. Anderson is on a roll, qualifying next to last, but now earning a spot in the final round. And the next pair of drivers will determine who will meet the green machine in the championship dash. The world champ, Fred Schaefer, in the Barefoot Chevy number 2 qualifier, lines up alongside the number 4 qualifier, another one for the Ford fans, the incredible First Blood Ford of Rob Fuchs. After the war the crowd just witnessed, can it get any wilder than that? Rob Fuchs, the underdog in this matchup. Schaefer again forced to wait on the starting line as Rob Fuchs' First Blood machine now inches up to the staging area. And he's ready. You can imagine the intensity in the cockpits of each machine. There is no love lost in this pair. The whole shot goes to Barefoot, and by 5 feet at the finish line, the Barefoot Chevrolet advances to the final round. So it will pit the defending world champion against the crowd favorite, Dennis Anderson's gravedigger, for all the marbles. Stay with us. It's said that every driver sooner or later has his day. In 1990, Fred Schaefer had his year when he won the U.S. Harvard Association Camel World Championship. But in this trophy dash here at the Centrum in Worcester, Massachusetts, it has definitely been Dennis Anderson's day. Qualifying next to last after problems set into the big green Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina 50 Chevrolet, Anderson has used superior driving ability as well as the overabundant horsepower of this rear-engine machine to reach the final round against the winningest monster truck of last season. And Fred Schaefer knows that the man in the other lane is not to be taken lightly. They leave the line together. Unbelievable finish, and we'll have to look at that one again. There is no way either driver could possibly know who won that one, and only the slow motion replay is going to bring it out. At the finish line on slow motion, it appears to be barefoot, but only Jim Harris, the U.S. Helmet Association event director, can make the instant replay call. He radios it down to the ground. The winner is the world champion, Bret Schaefer, and barefoot. It seems like every U.S. Helmet Association Camel Monster Truck battle is just another rung in a ladder towards an all-out war. And Bret Schaefer, it just doesn't get any easier. It gets more tough to win these things.
That Gravedigger, he's a tough guy with that rear engine off the line. That truck really leaves hard.
When you saw most of the drivers that you particularly have rivals with, Bigfoot, Taurus, go out relatively early, what were you thinking about the Gravedigger? Is he the kind of guy that'll go all out to beat you?
Gravedigger, everybody knows Gravedigger's nuts. If he's got to run in the wall or whatever he's got to do, he'll do it.
And it was still a matter of feet down there. What did you think when you crossed the finish line? Did you think you had him?
I knew it was so close that I couldn't call it, you know, from the driver's seat, of course. But and they said it was like just maybe a foot or 18 inches. It was real close.
And at this point, you've got to be eyeing the prospects of another world championship. I know earlier in the season you were kind of wondering what was going to happen.
Yeah, and like last year, I thought if I got second or third, I'd be happy. And I'm looking at the same thing this year. We've got a lot more tougher trucks this year, and I want to finish well and see what happens.
You're well on your way, that is for sure. And as the world champion attempts to repeat, believe me, like I said, this isn't going to get any easier. You can look forward to these kind of close finishes at every one of the U.S. Helmet Association Camel events. And, of course, the four drivers in the Camel Shootout coming out will bear the battle scars of their qualifying round efforts as we get ready for the four premier campaigners at this event here at the Oklahoma City, Oklahoma State Fairgrounds Arena to produce their best possible runs on this one-shot attempt to win the whole shooting match. It'll be Byron Tinky, the first man under 2 seconds flat in qualifying. The Bad Habit Chevy gets to start things off in the shootout war. Tinky on the brakes. The top end still mighty rough for these guys, but he puts down a decent number, 1.875 seconds, losing only a little less than 2/100ths of a second from qualifying to this run. Meanwhile, on the starting line, it's the local favorite from Perry, Oklahoma, Larry Jarrett and the Locomotion. Believe it or not, every machine in this shootout round utilizing supercharged Chevrolet motivation. Jarrett, of course, no different as he moves in. Jarrett leaves the line, takes a rough ride in the shutdown area. He had to go quicker than 186. He runs 1.90 seconds. 1.906. That'll put him number 3 right now. So far, we've seen Wisconsin, Iowa, and Oklahoma represented. Here's Kansas's entry. Ken Crum and the Wild Thing, rear-engine dragster, and this guy always gets wild. When it comes down to do or die on the final effort, he's got to go quicker than 1.860 seconds. On the brakes, a horrible bounce again. This guy has taken the roughest rides. Look at him shaking his head. He had to go quicker than 186. He runs 1.901 seconds. Jim Weber from Milwaukee in the American-made Chevy lines up. He's got to beat 187. On the brakes, he'll stop it in time. He had to go quicker than 187.5. He runs 1.860 seconds. Number 1 again for Weber. He just won't let these guys alone. Unbelievable.
Were you 100% confident that American Made was going to take the win?
Yes, I was.
And what about future races? How many more wins are we going to see for you in 1991?
Hopefully quite a few.
Good luck to you, Jim.
Thank you.
Jim Weber, driver of the American-made vehicle, takes the win in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
There's no question that the dominance exhibited by Bigfoot and other monster trucks through the years may well have come to an end. As a matter of fact, with Bret Schaefer's recent winning streak, he may well be on his way to another world championship. I'm Bret Kepner. Thanks for being with us.